This is my first Flosstube video. My name is Cherie, or Reecie, as people usually call me. I've been cross-stitching for a long time. I've recently, in the last few years, been doing a lot of cross-stitching and have really gotten into samplers and primitive designs, things like that. I live in Australia. There's a comedian in Australia who I enjoy. Her name's Kitty Flanagan. She has a segment on a TV show in Australia, and her segment is called, or was called, Kitty Flanagan Bandwagon Jumper. And I feel like that's a little bit what I'm doing, jumping on the Flosstube bandwagon. But I thought it would be a good way to track my cross-stitching, show everyone what I'm stitching, and something new for 2020. So some of my favourite Flosstubers are Brenda and the Serial Starter, Nicole's Needlework, Teresa Kitten Stitcher, Ellen Reed, Cross Stitch Power Hour. She's hilarious and awesome. There are others that I enjoy as well. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But in terms of stitching styles and things like that, those are the ones whose projects probably appeal to me the most. So what I thought I'd do for my first video is a quick intro, which I've just done actually. So my 2019 finishes. I've got quite a few of those actually. And then also a bit of a whip parade. I don't have a huge amount of whips. I have enough, but not an enormous amount, but enough to get the video, fill up the video. And then on the next video, I will be going through my plans for 2020, and also going through a basket that I have of things that are essentially, to steal a phrase from Brenda and Serial Starter, Brenda and Laura, immediate radar. So the immediate radar basket. So things that are kitted, ready to start, that I want to get started on, or things that aren't kitted but I intend to kit up pretty quick, and things that I want to start in 2020. Okay, so 2019 finishes. I do a lot of stitching on the train on my commute to work. I work about an hour away from where I live, or an hour train trip. So I usually get an hour's stitching, 2 hours a day stitching just on the commute. I don't stitch an awful lot in the evenings because I'm quite tired. Sometimes I do, not usually though. And sometimes I do some stitching on the weekend, or try to do some stitching on the weekend as well. So a lot of these finishes, especially the smaller finishes, are things that I have stitched on my commute. These aren't in any particular order of when I finished them, but these are all things that I finished in 2019. I had two big finishes in 2019, both of which were projects that I didn't start in 2019. So I might do those first. I don't have the charts handy for either of these, but I will write down I'll put what they are in the show notes down below. So the first of the two big finishes is a sampler by GigiR Designs. It's called the Rose Wreath sampler, C. Matthews 1841. So I'm just gonna hold that up now. And it's quite big. So hopefully that all got into the frame. There we go. Okay. I started this about 3 years ago. It has taken me a long time to finish. I didn't work on it constantly, but it took me quite a while all up. It is stitched on 40 count linen, hand dyed by, I can't quite remember, and it uses the called for over dyed cotton. So it's a combination of Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts threads. There are some over one sections, all of that verse is over one. The writing in the middle of the wreath is also over one. This was a lovely sampler to do. You could potentially even just do the wreath if you were looking for a smaller project. You could just do the wreath and maybe personalize the middle. So that was a big finish for 2019. The second big finish was a stitch along with the Cruel Goblin, which is my local needlework store, in the sense that it's in Sydney and I live in Newcastle, so it's about an hour and a half away from my house. But I do go there once a month for stitching with sewing friends, and they do mail order. So anyway, every year they have been having a stitch along with a sampler or two samplers. This one is from the 2018, I think, stitch along. And it's one of the designs that was chosen for that year. It's by the Essamplaire, who's in Canada, I think. And it is called MSD 1735, and it's a Nuremberg sampler. And again, it's another big one, so. All of that work at the bottom two sections is a combination of satin stitch or bargello type stitch, cross stitch, and also rice stitch, which is probably one of my favorite stitches. So this panel here is rice stitch, and that panel there is rice stitch as well. I stitched this on 40 count hand-dyed linen. It was hand-dyed by one of the ladies that works at the shop, her own blend. I think it's a permanent linen, I think, but it's a 40 count and stitched with the called for Soie silk threads. So again, I did not start this sampler in 2019, but I did finish it in 2019. So those are the two big finishes. Moving on now to the smaller finishes, and I do have the charts of these that I can show because they're not in a large box stored away. Again, in no particular order, but the first one is Brenda Gervais, Madame Cottontail. Very cute. I have not completely finished it. I have cut out the shape of the finished piece, but I haven't yet made it up into the little, I think it's called a ditty bag or dilly bag, but that's the finished stitching. So that's another one that I finished was one of the Blackbird designs for the Birds series. This is number 6, Pleasure of the Fleeting Year. I have finished 1 to 5 as well, but I haven't finished all of them just yet, but that's that one. And that's the chart there. That's stitched on a picture of this plus, I think maybe Legacy, 36 count with the call for Weeks Dye Works threads. Another one of those series actually that I finished in 2019 was number 5, Sing a Song of Seasons, and that's here. And that was stitched on, I think, some beige Weeks Dye Works linen. Very cute finishes. I like those. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with all 9 of them once I've stitched them. I've done them all on separate pieces of linen, but I may think about joining them all together and framing it that way, or I'm not sure. I don't want to do the 9 individual frames, so we'll see. Okay, another finish was a Halloween finish. I love Halloween designs. I love like sort of witchy designs, anything a bit weird and a bit creepy. Big fan. So this one I finished. I haven't made it up into the pincushion yet, but that's Stacey Nash Thistles and Spells pin keep, and that's my finish. And that's stitched on 40 count Grandpa's Sleeve linen by XJU Designs, and her linen is she's from Hungary, I think. I got it from Kitten Stitcher, her website. Another sort of creepy design. This is a design by Not Forgotten Farm. It's called Weep Not. The photo on the pattern does not do this justice at all, but here is my finish. So it says "Weep not for me," and there's 3 mourning people and a dead lady in a coffin, which I think is just hilarious and great. That's using DMC on some 36 count vintage pearled barley by Lakeside Linen. Another little finish for the year is a little Berlin woolwork or Berlin work sampler. It's the chart. It's Road to Rose, which I think translates to Red Rose, 1878. This is from what's her name? Sabine Gundacker. She's in Germany, I think. It's one of her patterns. And here's my finish. So that's using the called for DMC threads on some 40 count Lakeside linen. Not sure of the color. I think it might be bittersweet. Not 100%. And it's all cross stitch except for this one little budge yellow bit there, which is quite cute. That's that one. Then also Plum Street samplers, the little animal stacks. This is the Llama lump. I finished this early in the year, 2019. I remember it's one of my first finishes of that year. Well, you can see that. And that's using the called for overdyed cottons and some 40 count platinum, maybe? I can't remember. It's just Zweigart linen, it's not overdyed linen. So that's quite cute. The other finishes I have here, I don't have the charts on hand, but I can tell you what they are. So the first one, this was a little kit from Chessie and Me. It's an Americana type thing. I'm not American, obviously, but I do like the Americana designs, and I do love whales and anything to do with the sea. And this had that on it, and it was very, very cute. So that's it there. I think it's called Whale Watch, and it was a kit from Chessie and Me, and it uses Gloriana silks, I think. That was fun to do. There's a little over one section here. That's cute. Another Blackbird design. This one is from the book Ooh La La, the French inspired book that came out last year from Blackbird. This is one of the little French samplers. I think it's Sidonie's little dog, or Petit Chien. Just put that on something just so you can see a bit better. So it's all done in red, except for there's a little tiny bit of blue on the dog. This was on some beige Weeks Dye Works linen, 36 count or 35 count, I think, using barn door over dyed thread from Gentle Arts, I think it is. Just something I had had sort of sitting around. Then the last two are sort of medium size, I guess. This one here is called Strawberry Fields. Not to be confused with the Blackbird design Strawberry Fields Forever, the Beatles reference one. This is Carriage House or Cafe Barrack, Strawberry Fields. I don't have the chart with me because I actually passed it on to someone else. It's using MPI silks, and except I changed the colour for the house. I made it a lot pinker than the chart. The cover photo has it quite pink and it's very nice, but then the called for silk was a really sort of rusty red colour, and I wanted to have a pink house, so I swapped it out for some pink. So that one's quite cute. And then the last one, this is an old chart from the Good Housewife. I think it might be out of print, I'm not 100%. It's called Thankful Wheeler, and it's a very sort of primitive sampler. Hold that up the back so something behind it. Just using DMC on some random linen that I can't quite remember what it is, unfortunately. So those are all the things I finished in 2019. So it's actually not a bad haul there. And hopefully I'll get quite a bit more stitching done on the train. I go back to work on Monday, so I'll be back on the train on Monday for some more stitching. Okay, next is the whips. As I said, I don't have a huge amount, but I have enough. So I will get started on the old whip parade. The first one is in my Made by Mum drone bag. This is a Reflets de Soie pattern. Marie T. Clement, 1868. I really like these French samplers. I want to do more of them. This is almost finished actually, and I expect I will finish this before I go back to work on Monday. I've only got the bottom corner to go. So this bottom bit is quite great. So as you can see, I'm just at the bottom corner there. The last bit of border, another basket and another little rosy thing, and then it's done. So I've stitched this using the Call for Versoir silks, and the linen is hand dyed by Kitten Stitcher, and it is called, it's 36 count, and it's called Spider Veins. It was one of her Wabi Sabi hand dyed fabrics, which I bought a whole bunch of, and I really like stitching on actually. They're very nice. So that's a whip, hopefully not for too much longer. Okay, next up is one that I started only a couple of days ago. As this is part of me and a few of my sewing friends decided to all start this sampler and try and get it stitched in 2020. Lots of people on Flosstube and Instagram have finished this sampler and shown it recently, and it is amazing. It is Rachel Howells by the Scarlet House. Now my start is interesting because I'm waiting on the silk colours for the red and the green, which is obviously a large portion of the border, and indeed the whole design has a lot of those colours in it. I also am waiting on that sort of tanny brown colour. So I decided to start in the middle instead of normally starting at one of the corners, because there wasn't much point starting at the corners because I don't have the red or the green yet. So I thought, oh, I'll start in the middle and do this tree scenario, which I did. But again, I'm seem to be missing the main colours, but I have done a little start on one of the little Adam and Eve people. So that's their little body and their little face, and also the white from the snake on the tree. That's the most that I've done. I will hopefully be able to get the red and green silks when I go to sewing at the Quill Goblin on Saturday. Hopefully the back order will have come in, so then I can do a bit more. My dog has just entered the room and started yelling at me for some reason. Not quite sure, probably wants me to take him for a walk, but he'll have to wait until the video is over. So I'm stitching Rachel Howells with the NPI silks on a piece of, thank you, Ziggy. Yes, so I'm stitching this with the call for NPI silks and on a piece of 40 count maritime white linen by Lakeside Linens. So hopefully there'll be some more progress on that one once I get the red and green threads going out of shot. Reaching down into the, just do that, it's better. Reaching down into the whip box. Okay, so I keep most of mine in these thingies, which I get from Daiso, which is a Japanese shop. They're really good. This one. Okay, this is very, very old whip. From years and years ago, actually. So it's a Scarlet Letter design, spot motif embroidery, circa 1640. I have a very, very, very small start on a very, very big piece of fabric. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Right, here's my very, very, very small start. I started this years ago when I used to start all my cross stitching in the middle. So that's my start. This is a very big piece of 40 count linen. It's actually birds of a feather linen when they were making linen. This is how old this project is. The colour I don't know, and I'm using the called for DMC threads on that one. That's a very, very old whip that I'd like to get back to and get finished. I really like those that style of sampler. This is barely a whip. I have literally done, I think, 3 stitches. This was hilariously a couple of Flosstubers recently have said, is there anyone else who hasn't finished this pattern? I'm like, yeah, I've barely started it. Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring by Blackbird Alliance. My start is pitiful. It is literally about 8 stitches. The linen I'm using is another Kitten Stitcher hand dye. It's called Dullard, 40 count Dullard. Here's the little whoop. And I'm using the called for over-dyed cottons. Oh, here we go. We'll do a bit of this. Like, I feel like a real floss tuber now, doing my little smooshy. So yeah, very nice. Another one I hopefully want to do a lot more work on in 2020. I started this last year. What's next? Yes, this is one of my favourite patterns. Last year I decided I needed to just get started. It's Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings, Kathy Barrick. I started this in October, Halloween-y type stuff. I haven't gotten that much done, but I've got that much of the first block done. I am stitching this on the called for linen, which is Legacy by Picture This Plus. This is on 40 count, and I'm using the DMC, which I have in a bag here. And then as I've been using the colours, I've been putting them onto thread drops as I go. instead of doing it all at the beginning because it was driving me crazy. Okay, so I'd like to get some more of that done this year, maybe even try and finish it before Halloween, who knows. Okay, next, this is one that I started towards the end of last year, and I did do a lot of this also on the train on my commute. Brenda from Brenda and Serial Starter is working on this at the moment. So it is Sarah Stewart Hardman, aged 7, 1824, by Needlework Press. And this is my progress. I've actually done quite a lot. This one. So I've done the house, done all the motifs at the top. I've done the border except for the last bottom bit, and I'm currently working on the grass. The over one I've done a little bit of. I've started doing the letters over one. A lot of this area here is over one. Some of the sheep are over one, and the people's faces. So, but yeah, there's not that much more to go on that. That is on 40 count vintage light exemplar by Lakeside, and I'm using the overdyed cottons for this one. Helps if it's not upside down. And that's the cottons there. Some nice colours. So that's coming along nicely. Hopefully that will be finished quite soon. Next. Okay, this is one where I have a bit of a dilemma. Oh no, this isn't one where I have a dilemma. Sorry, there's another one where I do have a dilemma. This isn't it. This again is another one where I've only got a very small start, but it's the Eunice Tanquerel sampler by Donna Designs. So reproduction sampler. Colours are fabulous. Again, I haven't put these onto thread drops yet because it's a lot of effort that I haven't had time to do, but those are the colours. I have a very, very small start in the corner. And the fabric is an R&R. I think it is, I don't know, an R&R fabric. Can't remember which one. Creme brulee? Not sure. So that's another one that I'd like to get some more stitches in 2020. This is the dilemma. Okay, this chart is just amazing, and I love it so much. As soon as it was released last year, I was like, okay, this has to happen. So it's another Reflets de Soie pattern, another French sampler. Yvonne Leclerc, 1905. I mean, it's just incredible. The border is amazing. I love doing those like Berlin work motifs, like the country scene, the chicken, you know, the whole thing. There's dogs, there's everything. So I started it on some 40 count Weeks Dye Works linen in the colorway linen, but it's old Weeks and not the new, not the Zweigart based Weeks. And I'm not sure if I'm happy with the linen, not the color of the linen, but the way the linen is. But this is what I've done so far. So I've started in the top corner. I've done pretty much done the parrot, and started doing the roses along the top border. I do love it. I'm just not sure how well this linen is going to hold up. I'm using the Aversoir silks. I'm just not sure. I think I might keep going. Anyway, I'm not sure if anyone's got any suggestions. I mean, I could start over, but I've already done one parrot. I love that parrot. The thread colours for this are amazing. I actually ordered the threads from Reflets. They and they put them, it looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast, but they put them on these thread cards. There's some gorgeous colours. So I might persevere with that one. Okay. Another epic project that I started and haven't done an awful lot of is a Hands Across the Sea. Sara Doors, 1840. This is huge. And my start, I have done, it's an enormous piece of linen. It's another R&R. I think it's, I don't know, espresso. Oh, why can't I remember the R&R ones? I don't drink coffee. Maybe that's why. A lot of them are named after coffees and they don't sink into my head. But that is my start. I'm just about to get up to one of the red flowers, so I'm looking forward to that. That's using the called for Aversoir silks. So a pretty small start on that one as well. I want to get some of these bigger samplers, get cracking on them. Now that I've finished the Rose Wreath, which was my epic project, now I've finished that, I feel like I should get cracking on some of these big ones. These are the silks. I've got them in floss away bags, so it's probably a bit hard to see. More colours there. Some nice reds. That's a nice red. And some nice blues. I don't have many small whips. I think someone else on their Flosstube was saying, I think it might have been Carol, Salt Box Stitcher. Oh, another one of my favourite Flosstubes. I think she was saying that she tends to finish her small pieces. I do too. I tend to start a small piece, finish it, and have the big ones going in the background. So I think that's why a lot of my finishes last year were smalls, and all the whips that I'm showing you are mostly big sampler type projects. So this is from the another Reflets from the book Abecedaires Rouges, or Red Alphabets. And the one I am stitching is if I could find it, would be good. Here it is. I'm not showing you the chart, just the, so it's Parrot or Perot, Hercule Poirot, 1886, and it is this one. So it's red and with some gold as well. I'm stitching this on white 46 count linen. The linen hasn't been dyed. I may, once I've finished the sampler, do that antiquing dyeing thing that ages it a bit, because it is quite a stark white. But here is my start. So I've started, I'm using the Tudor silk, the Gloriana Tudor silk, in Summer Gold for the gold, and Poinsettia for the red, but I do have a slight dilemma in that I can't find my packet of poinsettia. I don't know what I've done with it, which is slightly problematic. So I'll either have to do a bit of a search or maybe just order some. So I can't really continue with this right now. And I think, oh no, there's one more. One more for the road. Oh look, it's another reflect as well. Jeez, anyone would think I was obsessed with reflect as well. Okay. This is Soeur Cherie. It's another red alphabet. Some very lovely letters. Now, my choice of thread colour for this is slightly unconventional. As in, it's quite mad. It's a very bright pinky red. It is a Soie, colour number 941 of the Soie silk. That is not what it's called for. What is called for is 946, which is in the same sort of colour family as this, but much darker. But I liked the bright pinky red. The linen is Weeks 40 count Confederate grey. Again, this is old Weeks, but this seems to... Thank you, Ziggy. He has some things to say. What would you like to say, Ziggy? What? Oh, is that right? There you go. There's Ziggy's... Okay. There's Ziggy's Flosstube debut. Okay. So yes, it's old Weeks. It's old Weeks, but it has a better sort of handle than the linen that I showed you before. So I'm not really having as much of an issue stitching on this. So anyway, I will keep going with that. Okay, so those are the whips. So I mean, that's not excessive, really, is it? How many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, that's okay. And one of them's almost finished. So really it's 8. Which means I can probably start some more stuff. Which will be the topic of the next video. So my next video, as I said, I have two, but well, I've got a basket full of kitted up stuff. Then I've also got a second basket of immediate radar type stuff. So kitted things, some non-kitted things that I intend to kit very shortly, things I want to start in 2020. So I will probably go through those baskets next time. I'll also probably have some haul next video. I've got a couple of orders waiting for me at work. I get most of my packages delivered to work because it's easier than going to the post office at weird hours at home. So there's some stuff I think waiting for me that I can show next time. And I'll also have a giveaway next time. There we go. Hey. I'll also have a giveaway next time. A chart, which may or may not be a Reflets Soie chart, because I am so obsessed with Reflets Soie that I may have purchased the same chart twice. Anyway, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel kind of silly doing this video, so be nice. I know I'm having real problems looking into the camera because I'm not used to filming myself, so I keep wanting to look at myself instead of at the actual thing where I know the camera is. I will work on that. But anyway, happy stitching everyone, and thank you for watching. Okay, bye.